Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Northborough, the COVID-19 edition. If you haven't seen this show before, my name is Art Bergeron. I'm an elder law attorney. I work at Myrick O'Connell, but this show is not about elder law. It's about my friends Frank and Mary. Once again, their goal is to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And during COVID-19, they're kind of stuck in the house all the time. So they really want to know, and maybe you want to know, kind of what's going on in your town, how everyone is dealing with all these issues. And so if you've seen the show before, you know that my wonderful co-host is Chris Lindquist from the library. Thanks very much for being back, Chris.
Good morning, Arthur. How are you?
Just great. And Chris continues to find great people that you may want to be knowing and hearing from regarding what is going on in your hometown. And Chris, I think you've got a wonderful person here today.
We do. So we've got Greg Martineau, who's the superintendent of schools, and Greg is here to kind of talk about, I guess we're calling it the new abnormal now, and what's happening in terms of remote learning and how the kids and parents are coping with this, Greg. So, maybe you can just give us a brief kind of overview of what's been happening since the schools closed.
Sure, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me as a guest. I will truthfully share that I have not watched the show, but I will go on to YouTube and actually look at some past shows. And I think the verdict is out if I'm a great guest. We'll have to decide that after the half-hour show. But again, this is an excellent opportunity for me.
We'll see how many people. We'll see how many people watch the reruns of your show.
Yeah, maybe this will go viral. So usually my messages don't go viral, but maybe this will be the chance I have. So again, thank you for having me as a guest, and I greatly appreciate it. And I think the favorite part of my job as a superintendent is to interact with families, students, parents, and citizens of the wonderful community of Northborough. Because it really helps me get a sense of what the issues are, what people are thinking about, and how we can do the best job possible as a public school. So, like most people across the country, the school department and our students and families have experienced COVID firsthand and the results of this pandemic. I think that we initially were watching the radar in terms of what was happening across the globe early on. And as a school district, we made a decision to close on Friday, the 13th. And we didn't close on that particular day because we were concerned about Friday the 13th. It just happened that was the day we closed. And basically we closed just to give us time as a leadership team to think about, okay, what are our next steps? What information do we have? And then working in collaboration with our district physician, Dr. Medina, and our wellness coordinator, Mary Ellen Duggan, and our local officials, we made a decision to close for a period of 2 weeks. And during that 2-week period, we really thought about how we could continue learning as best possible, with the realization that it was impossible to replicate what happens in our school buildings with our teachers on a day-to-day basis. So fortunately, we have amazing educators, wonderful staff who came together, coalesced around this idea of Ennisboro Connect 1.0, and basically tried to create some structures for family. At the time, it was optional. It was giving families optional learning choices. And we were engaged in optional learning experiences for about 2 weeks. And then we learned that the governor, Charlie Baker, closed schools across the Commonwealth, our school buildings across the Commonwealth until May 4th. And we received some guidance from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education around creating more continuity and consistency in terms of programming for our students. So we went to 2.0 mode. So we went to Ennisboro Connect 2.0, and we worked across our 3 communities, Northborough, Southborough, and the region, to create really a coordinated plan, more real-time learning sessions using tools like Skype and Zoom and Google Classroom. and also looking at what are the priority learning standards that we want to try to accomplish through the time we knew we were being closed, which was May 4th. And that was where we were for several weeks up until May 4th. And the governor again extended the closure for the well-being of the greater good through the end of the year. And we'll continue in Ennisboro with Ennisboro Connect 2.0. We did survey families, faculty, staff, and students to see what their experiences are. We got a lot of great data, a lot of great participation, and basically the themes were that families are really challenged trying to work from home, be the teachers of their sons and daughters, and trying to manage life. So that was one theme, which I think all of our educators are living that experience as well. The second theme that emerged was really don't change too much from May 4th to June 16th, which is our last day of school, that they're just getting into routines, and that to upend those routines would be counterproductive. And then the last theme that really emerged was more real-time connection. So more use of Skype and Zoom and Google Meet to try to have teachers interact with students in real time. That was really beneficial. So that's where we are today. We are trying to do the best in a very difficult situation. And I would, again, any chance I get to applaud our educators, faculty, and staff for the great work they've done. It's impressive. I couldn't be more proud. It's not perfect. And we've learned a lot just through this whole entire process.
Greg, I'm sure that you're having to cope with being at home as well. And I'm a librarian. I'm working with my staff remotely. It's challenging managing and kind of communicating remotely, isn't it? That brings its own set of challenges. And you have, I don't know how many teachers and principals and staff that you're trying to communicate. You must be having Zoom meetings all day long.
Yeah, so across our 3 districts, we have 850 employees, and we're an educational organization, which is also a business. So there are the business functions that go along with our system. So it really, we really had to pivot quickly and take all of our business operations from payroll, recruiting and hiring, HR, health insurance, and shift that into the virtual world, which we were able to do. So central office has been primarily, we have specific office hours that are very limited. We have very restrictions around when people can come in and in and out of the office. But primarily we've shifted to remote operations and haven't missed a beat, which is, again, a testament to the employees and the people who work at central office. I've, typically, the thing that I really miss is the interactions. I mean, one thing I took for granted were all those small conversations, those interactions that I would have, whether walking the hallways or visiting the buildings. I really miss that. I miss having an idea and stepping outside of my office and asking my executive assistant what she thought about it, and hearing her, "That's a terrible idea. Why would you even do that?" I really miss those types of interactions because it's the way I work. I process with the people around me, and we do a lot of group thinking. And Zoom, we've had a lot of Zoom meetings. We've tried to keep structures in place as best possible, and it's the next best thing to meeting in person. We've tried to make it work. I've logged a lot of seat hours in the chair that I'm sitting in today, and my coffee consumption has risen, I think, twofold. So,
mine as well.
But we're trying to make the best of it.
Yeah. Arthur?
Chris, can I just ask a question? Yeah. And by the way, I'm Greg. I'm kind of with you. I was just talking to one of my partners today. We're all working virtually, but I actually spent a lot of time in the office because no one else is there now,
yes,
right? Because they're all virtual. But I told him, I said, I thought of myself as a shy person, but I find myself out so missing just some of those interactions, just conversations with people and being able to bounce things off of people, where I think we're all, and I know Chris is I don't think of Chris as a shy person. So I can just tell, he's just really dying to get back. But my question is, so I was just reading an article actually in The Economist last week, where they were really advocating in Britain for trying to get the schools back open, because they said the price to the society of not having the kids educated in some ways outweighs some of the horrendous, some of the terrible medical stories, because it's so important. So, but going to you and the other educators must be thinking about this all the time. Like, how do you deal between now and the end of June with this kind of missing education, and how do you start thinking about how you deal with it next year, as you find a whole cohort of people who are like, 2 months behind, 3 months behind? How do you think about that?
So I think first, just a general comment. We put great faith in our medical experts, and we're at the state level, at the local level, we have Dr. Medina, who's our district physician, who has provided outstanding guidance and leadership. We work closely in partnership with our town administrator, John Kader, who's our police chief, Chief Liver, and Chief Parenti, and we really lean on their expertise in terms of deciding what's safe or not. So I think so that's one important message, is that, we're not the medical experts. We're following the lead of those professionals. In terms of, we are concerned, we are a public education system where we are responsible for educating all students who walk through our doors. And we have a continuum of learners in our system, in terms of what their needs are, what their skills are, what their social and emotional well-being. And it's very difficult to replicate, again, that in this virtual setting. We do believe, though, we're very fortunate as a community. We have students who come to our schools on a typical day, who are well prepared, who have great family supports and structures at home, who come with a lot of wealth of experiences outside of their educational setting, whether it's taking vacations or going to museums or coming to the library. So we feel like parents, education is not all lost because our school doors are open. Students are still learning. And they're just learning about different things at this point in time. Right now, we're in the phase of, we've launched Ennisboro Connect 2.0. We're making minor adjustments, and we're really into the planning phases, as you mentioned, Arthur, thinking about, okay, what do we need to think about in terms of opening our doors in the fall? What types of information do we need to collect from our students and our families? When students enter, we need to do some type of assessment to see where they are in terms of learning, what they've missed, where the gaps are, and then put plans forward so that we can mitigate any of those gaps. I also think we're thinking a lot about the social and emotional well-being of our students, that for many of our students, particularly at the early elementary age, they don't really understand why. Their world changed quickly. So we're also making sure that not only are we assessing where students are academically, but emotionally and socially, so that we can support them, as well as our faculty and staff. This has been very traumatic for them too, in terms of it's been challenging. We're waiting for some guidance from the CDC. Provided some guidance to school districts a few weeks ago. We're waiting for more information from the governor around the May 18th closure, and we're working very closely with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and we'll put plans in place to reopen in the fall in a manner that meets the guidelines, whatever those are. So this is not ending anytime soon. Typically at this time of year, like most departments, we have our budgets approved. we're really thinking about transitioning. We're transitioning students out of a school year. Our educators are transitioning into the next school year, the fall. We're typically doing things like class placement. We're thinking about student transition to making sure that the receiving teachers know their students that they're receiving. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into preparing for next year that starts early and in March. So that's all happening remotely. And we're finding ourselves in, we're having to revisit our budgets. We're having to rethink about town meeting and what impact this COVID-19 experience may have on our budgets, and we're rethinking that as well. So a lot of planning and preparation, and now we're really thinking about operations and how we're going to resume operations and meet the needs of our students and families.
Thanks, Chris, for giving me that chance for that. Thank you.
It's a tremendous amount of work, Greg, and I know there's so much happening behind the scenes. I know that you're also on I think the emergency management team, along with the police chief, the fire chief, John Coderre, and others. And I know there's a lot of plans that are being put in place, and obviously different scenarios that are being planned out based on what the new normal looks like. Greg, just a question about grading. I think I heard that grades are now, is everything going to pass fail for the time being?
Yes, so it's pass or fail. And I don't have the specific details in front of me, but and the quarters are being weighted, so it's not as if the period of time that students were out, it counts for the exact same time that they were in session in September through March. And again, it's we're thinking about what impact is this pass or fail going to have on GPAs and
Sure.
All those factors that really are meaningful, primarily at the middle and high schools. But I think the high school leadership team has put a plan forth. Again, these plans are not ideal by any means. It's just trying to make the best of not a great situation. So we've just actually this on Monday, the high school rolled out their plans for grading for the remainder of the year. And it's primarily a pass or fail scenario,
Yep.
Which is difficult for high school seniors. I mean,
It's
and
tough. Yeah.
our seniors, it's difficult for all our teachers, actually all students at the high school.
Yeah. And then just logistical things. I mean, some kids, I'm hoping, they have internet access at home, hopefully, and also, a Chromebook or some technology so they're able to remotely connect, right? Was there a program so that the kids that didn't have Chromebooks were able to get some?
So we have, we're fortunate. We have our North Reading transportation. So we have a fleet of 32 buses that transport our students in a typical day that are sitting in a lot. So we have taken advantage of those buses, and we've been implementing a technology distribution. So families who needed additional Chromebooks or didn't have technology, we've partnered with our technology department, North Reading Transportation, and have delivered those. For families who do not have internet access, we do have systems where we've provided hotspots so they can access the internet. And then for some families, again, the diversity of our families, the technology wasn't appropriate. So we've looked at providing some hard, packets of information to families. We, as a community of Northborough, we are becoming more diverse. So the number of families who speak multiple languages is significant in our school age population. And that's something that our English language director has been working with as well. And food services has also been a major component. We've continued providing families who need food, lunches. So our cafeteria staff have been working. They deliver food on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. They provide 2 lunches. We have across the 3 districts, I believe, over 350 families who utilize lunch services. And again, that's through the great work of our food services team, our nurses, and North Reading Transportation.
Incredible. And over the summer, Greg, we had Pat and Skip Doyle on last week from the Rotary. I'm sure you're familiar with them. Yes. They talked about the Nutrition 68 program. So they're going to continue to support those who have a food need over the summer.
Yeah, the Rotary has been outstanding partner with the community, and the Nutrition 68 has been on a good year. In normal settings, it's been a tremendous program. And a well-needed program for many of our families. And their work during this pandemic has been outstanding and greatly appreciated. And we are also seeing an uptick of families who are in need. So we're seeing an increase of requests for lunches, also for participation in Nutrition 68. So those types of safety nets for our community are essential. And again, I just want to thank the Rotary and the work that they've done proactively to start this program 2 years ago has helped tremendously.
Fantastic. Arthur?
That's a big deal. I was just going to say that's such a big deal. And I suppose, as we so often have seen Chris and I doing these shows, the silver lining of this is to watch how people have risen to this occasion, how people are working together. Like what you're doing with the school buses, mm-hmm. How you're just using the resources that you have to adapt to a different situation. I had kind of just a broad question. We find so many people who are really willing to help right now, whether mm-hmm. it's financially or with people, things, and whatever. Is there anything special that you can see at now or going forward where you see people might be willing to help? Because one of the things that as a kind of a sidebar, we had the Doyles. That's quite a couple.
Yes.
Quite a couple, right? And they were really speaking to the fact that Rotary itself has come to realize that it's a business organization, but also one where they encourage many retired people, because that's the kind of source of not only wealth, but just talent and a whole bunch of things. So just wondering if, for the people who are watching the show or for others, if there's a place that they may be able to help.
Yeah. So yes, I agree that the Doyles are quite the couple and do amazing work. So we don't have any formal types of avenues or vehicles to take in donations. So our message has been, if you want to, if a community member wants to support the food pantry, support the Rotary. There are a lot of organizations that really benefit our students and families. And the other aspect I would say is our schools are also conducting food drives to support the food pantries. The Proctor Elementary School had a food drive, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, and the community response was amazing. And that directly goes to the food bank, which then directly goes back to our students, our families, and our citizens. So that would be my recommendation, is if a citizen sees an invitation to be part of some type of food drive that a school is doing, they're more than welcome to join. If not, the Rotary has been we've had so many organizations in our community that have supported the work of education in the school system.
Great. Arthur, yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Thank you for that.
I was just going to ask Greg, you mentioned seniors earlier. I mean, we're all feeling for the seniors. I remember when I was 18 and getting ready to go out into the world and looking forward to graduation. So how are we going to do graduation this year? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I feel terribly for our Algonquin seniors this year. And I'm hoping that they're the only class that ever has to experience a pandemic. So in a typical year, the months of March, April, May, June are about celebrating the great work of the class of 2020, having events, senior balls, award ceremonies, and an opportunity for our seniors to say goodbye to one another and to thank faculty and staff, and for faculty and staff to say goodbye. So all of those, and it culminates in a graduation where the entire community comes together in a wonderful ceremony to culminate the senior experience, pre-K through 12. So unfortunately, because of the restrictions and the guidelines and putting safety first, we can't have those types of events. Our senior class advisors, the students, and the faculty and staff senior advisors, it's Emily Philbin and Angela Mall, working in partnership with the leadership team, Dr. Sarah Walsh, Andy McGowan, Tim McDonald, and Kathy Carmignani, have put together the next best type of plans. They've moved some of their events to virtual, and the the faculty class advisors have created a special package for every senior, and those will be delivered to each senior. In addition to that, there's going to be a kind of a drive-through opportunity. So over the course of a few days, we're inviting a family to drive to Algonquin. There will be a police help and so forth, details, and they'll drive up. There'll be a stage set up where it will be as formal. The senior will get out of the car,
Wow.
walk across the stage. Photographs can be taken. We'll have flowers. We're hoping to have some music playing. The student's name will be announced. The student will get back in the car and drive off. So that's one of the ways we're trying to recreate what was lost. And then the second thing that is happening is NCAT is going to be creating a virtual video graduation. So there is plans to have a video graduation with the speeches and all the typical components of a celebration or graduation. And that will be shared with families on June 30th. And we've had a lot of pressure around having a graduation in August, early August. And we're making a decision not to move forward with those plans. We understand parents' sense of loss and wanting that. I have a daughter who's a senior in high school. I live in Shrewsbury. I can empathize. I would love nothing more than to attend a graduation, but to do that with 350 students and families in August, in the middle of a field, in talking with Dr. Medina, Mary Ellen Duggan, I do not feel we can do that safely, and I've made the decision not to have that event. So what we are hoping to do, though, is the day after Thanksgiving in November, kind of monitor the environment to see what's happening, and maybe have a more formal event the day after Thanksgiving in a traditional manner. And again, depending on what we're allowed to do in terms of safety.
Boy.
So, Chris, this has just been a really, I think, educational for a lot of folks who are at home. I think also for a lot of seniors, our seniors, right? When you said, seniors have gone through a lot, or I was thinking, well, of course, that means something different on this show sometimes. So to give people a sense of what a lot of people are going through, and how, once again, the community is really, rising up to the occasion to help deal with all of this. So thank you, Chris, for once again finding a great guest for us. Thank you very much, Greg Martineau, for stopping in. Once again, we'll let you know how your reruns do on this. Thank you all.
I shouldn't expect paparazzi taking my photograph when I go to Lowe's Market.
That'll be the test. That'll be the test when they're following you into Shrewsbury, right? Yeah. That'll be the test.
Greg, I look forward to the. I was just going to say, Greg, I look forward to the day when the three of us can get together in real time and talk about, maybe next November, talk about the graduation event. And thank you for all your work. And the library's been working with you and your amazing principals and our librarians. And so thank you so much for your time, Greg. Really appreciate it.
I'd like to thank the two of you for the opportunity, and also thank the community of Northborough for all support of the school department and system. We have amazing students, amazing families, amazing educators. So there's a lot to be proud of, and I too long the day that we can bring back a sense of normalcy to the work that we do. Thank you.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
Coming soon. Thank you, folks, for watching, and we'll see you in the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Northborough, the COVID-19 edition. Thank you very much.